So this is season 4, episode 16. This one is just called A.
A. And I mean, I don't know. I think this is when they start doing their obsession with the letters A and B, because then like later on that becomes a point of obsession where I remember when Rick gets abducted, somebody's asking the creepy garbage woman, it's like, is he an A or a B?
Okay.
And there's just like I think this is the first time we see it, but there's just like this obsession with like the mysterious letters A and B, but they never, like, it never comes out as having any significance whatsoever, and it occurs, if I'm remembering correctly, in totally different circumstances that have nothing to do with each other.
I truly had no idea where you were going with that.
Which
with
part?
The A and the B, and like you said, when Rick gets abducted, and I was like, my brain was just totally blanking, and then you said garbage woman, and it all came crashing back because I hate her.
Naked garbage woman.
Oh, no.
With a cat obsession?
No, well, yes, but it's Michonne that has the cat obsession.
Oh, I thought garbage woman just made cat sculptures.
No, I think there was like a cat sculpture, and Michonne took it.
Well, that might be. I guess we'll have to get to that part, because I guess I don't remember for sure.
Michonne really likes cats, though.
Okay. So this one is called A. And so let's see. This one begins with a flashback to at some point when they were still in the prison. Mm-hmm. And so this would be after the governor attacked, and then after he ran off, and they think that they're safe.
Yes.
Because, like, as we see throughout the episode, what this is leading up to is Herschel encouraging Rick to become a farmer. That's like the ultimate, it's these flashbacks are interspersed throughout the episode. Mm-hmm. And then the first one, what we see, is it Glenn coming back?
Glenn and Maggie.
Okay, coming back in a car, and then Herschel's there, and yeah.
I was really confused when the episode started. I was like,
right.
What? Did Netflix...
It was all a dream.
Mess up? Yeah, all of it's been fake.
Like everything since the middle, like the last, I don't know, 6 episodes or however many have been, it's just all been a dream. Yeah, so then we see this flashback, and then...
When it comes out of the flashback.
Yeah, then it shifts to like a close-up of Rick. Mm-hmm. Yes, so the present, and a close-up of Rick, and he's all bloodied, and he's just staring off into the distance. He's leaned up against a car, and there's blood all over his hands, and he's just... Yeah, he's traumatized. He's staring off in the distance, and we don't, we have no idea at this point what happened. And then we get the credits.
Yeah.
And then it's sort of, so like that was a jump forward a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then it goes back to essentially what's the present. I mean,
right. It's a few hours before, but
right.
It's the start of the story.
And then let's see.
It's like Michonne, Rick, and Carl are just like doing their normal camping thing.
Yeah.
Setting up like perimeters so they can hear if anyone's getting close and stuff like that. And then they're like cleaning up their camp for that night to continue traveling. Mm-hmm. They're traveling to Terminus, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they find the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, because let's see. Then there's that. Is it before or after when they're walking along the path? And then Carl, I remember, because like Rick is showing Carl how to set a snare for a rabbit. Mm-hmm. And then at one point Carl is asking, when we get to Terminus, are we going to tell them who we are and what we've done and like all the truth about us?
Have they asked? Oh, they have. I was gonna say, have they asked the 3 questions yet? But
yeah.
Carl's like, can we answer our own questions? No, we can't.
Right. Not really. No. Yeah.
We don't know how many people we've killed. We don't know how many walkers we've killed. Like.
We've completely lost track of all of that.
Which is funny because there was one point you and I like kept track of it. And like it got to a pretty high number.
It did, yeah. I don't remember where we lost track of, like where we, because we
I have it on
we
my
went
iPad
up
somewhere.
Well, because I mean it was up until at least their war with Negan.
Yes.
It was it was definitely somewhere, like we definitely got up until that point.
Yeah.
So really, we only have to proceed a little further to know for sure how many people Rick killed.
True. That's true.
No, it was very high.
Yeah.
It was. He's gonna have all those ghosts following him around in the afterlife.
Okay, so then I don't remember like how exactly they stumble upon them, but the group that Daryl is with. What do you call this group?
The sleazeballs?
Yes, yeah.
Or the grease balls, or they're greasy, sleazy. They I guess the show doesn't call them. I think like the official name is the Claimers because they claim things.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because what if you claimed the word claim?
Weird.
What if you said, I claim the word claim?
It's claimception.
And then no one could claim anything.
Claimception.
Exactly.
And so like they find Rick and everything, and the head sleazeball is saying like
he's like, I got you. We got you, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. And he's explaining to Daryl that like they found a house and Rick killed one of their guys and left him to turn, and he attacked the group and blah blah blah. And then Daryl's like, I know them.
Yeah.
And so the group, the sleazeballs also turn on Daryl.
Well, yeah, because Daryl says, he's a good man. I know him. He's a good man. And then Sleazy Joe says, now see, that's a lie. And we don't like lying around here.
Yeah.
Teach him, boys. Teach him all the way. And then they just, they start beating Daryl. And so we've got, like, one of them is, like, the creepiest child molester ever. Until later, when, because this is Chomo 1.0. And then later, I can't remember what his actual name is. He's the music teacher. Chomo 2.0, who arrives with the Walking Deaf.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that character's name is.
Me neither. I mean, once we get there.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's actually, I think he's creepier. I mean, this guy is a 10 on a scale of, like you would keep your eyes on him at all times if you saw him out in public, because he's obviously up to no good. But I think Chomo 2.0 is actually creepier. Imagine that actor looking the way he does later on in the show, right? But cast him as this guy in this episode, and I think it would be even scarier. I think that would be, they probably thought he probably auditioned for this role because he knew it would suit him, and his unique talents really well. So he probably auditioned, but the producers said, no, this is going to traumatize the audience way too much.
Later they were just like, let's do it.
Well, no, because they cast him, so they decided that it would be too frightening for the audience. It would be too intense to have him play this character who was part of the Claimers, right?
Okay.
It would have been too much for basic cable.
Okay.
If it was on HBO or something, maybe they would have done that.
Are you saying too much for basic cable because they are child molesters?
Who, the people who run basic cable? I mean, yes, but that's unrelated.
The Claimers.
Oh, the Claimers? Oh. No, the claimers, I mean, they are. It definitely seems like they all are. Like, I get the impression that they just rape everything. Like,
well, they
like
make the
it's.
comment. Like,
Oh, yeah. Because he says, like, we're going to have the girl, we're going to have the boy. Yes. Like, no, I mean.
Make you watch.
Yeah, no, no, that I totally agree. I think they are all just so passionate about raping that like I don't think they really like distinguish who they're raping. Right. I think the Chomo in this episode, he definitely seems like his interest is being a Chomo. Right. Like he seems to go after Carl.
But are you saying that like Chomo 2.0 he auditioned and like they were like, no, it's too much for basic cable because these actually are Chomos?
Well, so what I meant is that because he's such a disturbing caveman monster, and he just gives off like so much of that vibe, that it would, if they put him in a role where he is supposed to be a Chomo,
right,
the audience would be too disturbed by the intensity of that, like because he would like. Because he would sell it so well. I guess it would be like if you cast John Wayne Gacy as a serial killer.
We are saying the same thing.
Okay, that's It would be too real, and the audience would be disturbed, and they might leave.
Okay.
I think that's the situation. I think Okay, so I think we are saying the same thing.
And so they tell Rick like, we're gonna take the girl, then we're gonna take the kid.
Yeah, and then we're gonna kill you, right? And then we'll be square. Yeah, and then Rick is so then let's see. One of them, I don't know if it's Sleazy Joe or just one of the other, but like they've got Rick, right? And like Chomo is like molesting Carl. While this is happening. I mean, not like. I mean, he's like on top of him, and he's like going to rape him. Right. So then, and Rick is like building up intensity.
Yeah, like he's
and like getting like more and more angry while this is happening, and then Sleazy Joe starts laughing, and then Rick headbutts. Whichever one of them like has him in like a headlock, and then let's see, then the gun goes off, right? Because like they had a gun to his head. Whoever this was had a gun to it, like, and then he like headbutts him, and then the gun goes off, and then there's like the ringing, and then let's see, and then they like attack him, and then he. Because then they like, Sleazy Joe's like, oh, it's going to be so much worse for you now. But then what happens? Then does Daryl like start helping? I just like, because then.
Events, but essentially, like, they just
that's right. Okay, well, okay, I remember because Sleazy Joe like gets a hold of Rick, and he's like holding him, like facing him, and then he's like, what are you gonna do now? Bite me in the neck? Oh no! Like, and then Rick like bites him in the neck and like tears his neck out. And then he starts killing everybody.
Yeah.
And then there's only, I guess, Michonne and Daryl, I think, also like get the guys who were holding them. And then there's only Chomo left, and then Rick like starts going after Chomo, and then he holds Carl hostage. And then he's like, I'll shoot the boy or I'll stab the boy. I think he has a knife. And then, like, Rick starts coming after him. And then he throws down his knife and is like, oh, I'm sorry. Like, just let me live or whatever. Which I think is pretty ridiculous. Like, why would Rick let him live?
Absolutely.
I mean, you would think he would just try to like hold Carl hostage until he could get away or so, so then obviously Rick kills him, which is good. It's a shame that what
shows why he was like so traumatized.
Oh right, yeah, because of this whole thing.
Yeah.
well, yeah, because, like, everybody almost got raped, and, like, he, like, killed these guys in particularly brutal ways, and, yeah, and so then, then we reach that point in the timeline where, like, we saw in the beginning, where he's, where it's over, and then, and then...
So, like, throughout the whole episode, like, they keep
doing, they keep doing flashbacks to the prison.
And I think that's supposed to be, like, Rick is longing for, like, when they had the chance to just be farmers. Like,
I think that's partly true. I think it's also, like, showing that it was wrong of Herschel to, because it's like, in these flashbacks, Herschel is basically, because Carl, killed the Woodbury guy, originally, and then he was getting all serious and he didn't want to play with Legos. Right. And so then Herschel was like, we're safe, or I don't know if I can do his voice. We're safe now, Rick. We can be normal people again. That's what he said. Okay, can you do a better?
No,
okay.
But no.
Okay.
No.
So okay, and so then he's like, he wants Rick to, like, take Carl and, like, farm pigs and stuff, to try to stop Carl from becoming a mass murderer, or, whatever insane crap, like Herschel.
I was gonna say grow up too quickly, but...
Okay. It's the same thing.
What is it?
Everyone becomes a mass murderer eventually. It's just a question of how quickly you get to that point.
That's unfortunate.
So I think it's like, and that's ultimately what we see in these flashbacks. So I think it's, I think you're definitely probably right that it's partly like, it was nice when we didn't have to, like, bite people's necks out and, like, gouge their eyes out with our thumbs and stuff.
Like, that was a possibility.
Right. When it was, like, we could be more civilized and this wasn't necessary. I also think it's also kind of showing that, like, Herschel was an idiot, though, I think. Because, like, he was wrong. They shouldn't have, like, ever let their guard down. Yeah. They shouldn't have tried to, at the very least, as soon as they were out of the prison, it's like, oh, well, that's not really an option. Like, you have to be vicious and you have to be ruthless and you have to bite people's necks out.
Well, I think it's also, like, kind of longing for that community, which is why they're going to join
no, you're right. They're, like, trying to reunite with them. Yeah, and also, or, like, I guess, / just try to find a new community. Right. You're right. That makes sense.
So, Daryl has joined them.
Yeah.
And they're still headed to Terminus.
Yeah. And Daryl's, like, talking to Rick, and he says, I think he says something like, I knew they were no good, but I was alone. So naturally, I just went along with it.
Yeah. And I think he also says something about, like, he knew they were looking for someone, but he didn't know it was Rick.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. And there's just a thing where, like, Michonne is, like, comforting Carl, and they're, like, inside this car, and, like, Daryl and Rick are talking to each other, and they're outside, and, like, Carl is traumatized, and, like, he hears Rick talking, and then, like, about how, like, I don't know, I think Rick is saying, like, that was so, I don't know, do you know what I mean? I can't think of the exact what he was saying. He was something like, I had to do it, like, that was so gory, and but I had to do it to protect Carl and that sort of thing. He was like, it's that kind of gist. And then I think it's after that, then we see, like, Michonne and Carl, like, they're all walking to Terminus, and, like, I think they're talking to each other, and Carl's, like, saying basically that he understands, and, like, he's not afraid of Rick. Do you know? I think that's, and so then they get to Terminus.
But they, like, go in the back way.
And they leave some of their weapons, they bury them outside, which, I mean, I get, but that's still kind of stupid. I don't know. I think it would have made a lot more sense to just send, like, Rick in or something. Yeah. You know, like, just send one person in.
Not all four.
And then it's like...
Yeah.
You know, don't let... I think it's kind of silly that they... Because they clearly have suspicions. Like, they clearly don't know whether this is actually a safe place. Or, you know, they wouldn't sneak in. Like, they clearly don't know if this is safe or not. And yet, they pretty much just still end up, like, putting themselves completely at their mercy. Yeah. Which I think is just kind of odd.
Yeah, because they don't want to go into the front because they don't want to see, like, the show that's being put on. They want to go into the back and see, like, what's actually happening. Yeah. And so they go into
we gotta find the latrines. That's where we'll see what's really going on and the real character of this place.
So they go into this, like, basically warehouse. And there's, like, several people in there doing different jobs, but the one that
they're all like, I don't know, what are they doing, like monitoring radio stations, or like they're all doing like some weird like technical work or something.
But the one that I find like the most perplexing is the lady who's just like making the announcement over the radio stations over and over, like Terminus, like forever, like I don't remember.
Terminus, a sanctuary for all, security, or something like that, you know, security for all those who survive. She's just repeating their like standard message.
She's like reading it.
And it looks like she's reading a map.
Yeah,
and so I don't know exactly what information she's getting from what she's reading.
Yeah, and it's like you read this like probably 100,000 times now, like. You really need to read it? Like,
you wouldn't think so.
And so they go in and the people in there are like trying to act very civilized, and they're like it's not as pretty here, but like we'll take you to the front, but like you have to put your weapons down, and I'm Alex and this is
I think the main guy is Gareth. I do remember that. Okay. But yeah.
And this is Alex. And so like they ended up trusting them and like putting their weapons down.
they just want to frisk them and like see if they were honest, I guess, about like taking all their weapons off, and then they give them their weapons back, and then they go out to the front, and
the lady who
they're like, hi, let's feed you some big slabs of meat.
The lady who, like, greeted Glenn's group and everything and said, let's make you a plate. She was like, oh, I heard you guys, like, snuck in through the back, but, like, here's some food, blah, blah, blah. And Rick sees a pocket watch. And And
it's Herschel's.
Yes. Yeah. And he, like, basically, I think it's Alex. He, like, gets behind Alex with a gun to his head or knife to his throat or something like that. And Gareth is like, what are you freaking out about? And he's like, where'd you get that watch? And where'd you get that riot armor? And where'd you get that poncho? And like he's seeing all these things of their groups. And like Gareth is very good at just like staying calm, and he's like, we got it off of a walker. Like he has an answer for everything. And so he's like, you just need to like put down your weapon. We can talk this out. And then they see that there are like snipers on all the roofs. And so the sniper starts shooting at them. And so Rick's group is running away. And this goes on for like quite a while actually. And Daryl makes the comment. I think it's Daryl. Maybe it's...
I'm not sure. It's one of them, but saying that, they're not actually trying to hit us.
Right. Yeah. They're, like, aiming for the ground. They're, like, hurting us, basically. Did I miss... I think there's, like, a thing where they, like, find a church and there's, like...
they, like, go through this place where it's, like, the memorial, the termite memorial, and it's where they have all those candles and, like, a big thing on the ground, and they have messages painted on the walls and stuff. Yeah, they like run through that, and then they like go past where they dump the bones. There's like this like fenced area where they have this like big pile of human bones.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I think they're just like pretty much at that train car.
Yeah.
Where they end up, and
Yeah.
because then they get like surrounded
Yes.
by snipers on the roofs, and they're like, okay, you know, we're gonna shoot you if you don't obey us.
Yeah. And so they all just put their weapons down, and Gareth instructs like Rick to go line up at the train car. He calls on the sheriff, and then he says the
samurai, I think, or I don't know. Was it Daryl and then Michonne?
Michonne.
Well, okay, but yeah.
Yeah, so like the sheriff, and then the archer, and then the samurai, and then the kid.
Yeah.
And he's like threatening the whole time, like, if you don't listen to me, I'm gonna kill the kid.
Right. Yeah.
And so they line up at the boxcar, and then they go into the boxcar, and the door closes, and it's like pretty dark in there. And then like they see someone kind of walking out from the other end into like just little slivers of light, and it's Glenn.
Yeah. And everybody else.
Right, and then like everyone else comes out from behind him, and Glenn's like, it's okay, they're our friends, because there's like several people here that Rick doesn't know.
Well, yeah, because like Rick is like, oh, I'm so glad to see her. I don't know. It seems like he's just pretending to know who everybody is almost. He's not like, who the hell are those people in the back?
Because there should be 4 people that he doesn't know, right?
Well, 3? Or no, 4. No, 4. Yeah. Yeah, that's 4. He knows 4 of them, and he doesn't know 4 of them.
Like
yeah.
Rosita, Abraham, Eugene, and
Tara.
Tara.
Yeah. No, you're, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he should be like, hey, who are the rest of these people?
Yeah. But he just acts like so happy to see all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then they're like, oh, we're screwed. And then Rick's like, no, we're not, because we're all together. And they're going to learn they forgot an important fact. They're going to learn an important lesson, one of those, like, they're screwing with the wrong people. I know how to farm pigs. The secret to farming pigs is that you gotta slaughter them. That's as far as I got in learning how to farm pigs. That's it. That I ended up having to slaughter them before I really mastered the craft, but that'll get us out of here.
There was one flashback part you wanted to talk about with like the Legos.
Because like Rick gets some Legos, and he goes to the cell block where they are, and I don't remember this other kid's name, but he was in the beginning of the season, and then he died. I feel like he might have been the first one to die of the flu. Like, I think he was like the first one to resurrect as a bleeding-eyed walker.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, he's like with the glasses.
Yeah, well, because like back then, like Carol was teaching them how to fight in the library, and he was like, I don't feel good, and she's like, you just gotta like fight through it. Like,
yeah, I mean, you're right. Yeah. So I can't remember his name, but this kid, is there with Carl, and Carl's taking apart his pistol and putting it back together, and Rick has these Legos. Oh, wait, no, he comes in. Oh, no, okay, I had that wrong. He comes in, the other kid is playing with the Legos. Rick had brought the Legos for Carl before. Carl was disinterested in them, because now he knows what it's like to take a man's life, and so Legos sort of seem unimportant in comparison, and he's just planning his next murder. So, yeah, and so then this other kid is, like, playing with the Legos, and he's like, oh, yeah, Carl didn't want them. I'm not ashamed that it says, I don't know, like, it's like 6 to 12 or like whatever he's, like the age range. Yeah. He's like, I'm not ashamed that it says whatever. And I have a problem with this because I think this very clearly implies that Carl is supposed to be younger than this guy. I mean, like, because I think Carl's, like, in this scene, Carl's actor and this other guy, I think they look the same age, like very similar. I don't feel like one of them looks much older than the other.
And they're like 13,
but that's clearly
14.
the implication. Yeah, something like that. And of course that's because Carl's character is supposed to be a lot younger than the actor is here. So, like, I mean, that's fair. I kind of have an issue with how they act like we're supposed to. They act like we're supposed to be like, oh yeah, Carl and this guy are different ages, and it's like, and just visually, no. I mean, I don't see a difference. I think if I was gonna guess, I would say that these two actors are roughly this, like maybe a couple of years difference or something, but not a huge difference.
Yeah.
So I just have an issue with that it's like, oh yeah, apparently Carl, these are totally age appropriate for him, but apparently not for this other guy. Oh, they look exactly the same age-wise, by the way. But yeah, that's all. So yeah, and then this episode ends on a cliffhanger in which they have managed to all get themselves captured and they're completely helpless. But they're very optimistic about their situation.
That's true, they are.
Yeah, and so it ends on a hopeful note for next season.